Yes. All right. So I just want to say hello to Sarah and Danielle. Um, Sisters and Sarah, thank you for directing this question to me. And Danielle, I hope I can give you some insight. I needed to do a voice on this because it's you send a question in to Sarah, and it's a pretty long question. And when I give answers to questions, I want to not only just give you some insight on what you're asking, um, and give you some detail so that you understand what's going on, but I also wanted to make sure that I give you some knowledge that you can apply to your situation so that you can maybe provide a solution, uh, as far as that you can add to your life to enhance it. So I want to start with this. There were a couple of things that you said in your question, and I'm going to say this too. Normally I see men and women going back and forth at each other all the time in these threads, in these posts, on these um, YouTube videos, and all of this other stuff. And I would pass it, and I would think, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that bullshit. And excuse me, I'm talking sister to sister, but that's what I remember thinking. I am so glad I don't have to deal with that bullshit. And so when I saw this question, I thought it was funny because I had just um, finished a lecture, so to speak, on what nature is and what's natural. And then that was the first time, I guess your question really kind of brought it home that everything that I said or that I spoke about in that particular lecture was about, it deals a lot with this situation and what's going on in this society with men and women. And so basically what we're looking at is that um, this society, you're seeing the women are becoming independent. They're becoming strong. They're becoming women who they'll raise their own children. And you have situations even where the woman purposely doesn't want the man in her presence. And you see the men returning to nature as well. Now that's women returning to nature. And you see the men returning to nature as well and doing what they do in being the type of beings that they are. Now, one of the problems is we don't understand who we are, and we sure as hell don't understand who they are because we have been lied to. We've got a lot of different, a lot of us, we got some ideologies that some of us are not even willing to overcome. We'll look at people who are religious and we'll talk plenty of trash about them. Oh, you still religious? Are you? And but when it comes to some of these other ideologies, we are stuck on them. So when we start talking about what love is, when we start talking about what relationships are, when we start talking about what is natural, then we are stuck. We look at these things that we believe in or that we accept in society. It's going to be difficult for us to change our mindset on them. But that was what that lecture was about. And then I want to answer some of your questions and I'm going to send you that lecture. But of course, after you listen to this, take a listen to that because it'll go into a little bit more detail. Now, one of the quotes that I have, the first quotes, because I just took out some quotes that stood out when I read your questions. You say, then they turn around and say that we should be like Harriet Tubman and lead them. You're saying that about the men. The men say we should turn around and be like Harriet Tubman and lead them. Now I want to start here real quick because what we don't understand is nature. We've been running around all this time, and I don't know how we run around and we let people say, well, this is natural and this is natural and this is not natural, and we are the most unnatural beings on this planet. but have the nerve to turn around and talk about what's natural and unnatural. And when we go and look at nature, we understand that everything that we do is ass backwards and against nature. So what we have to do is understand that what's going on here is that we are returning to nature. And what we're in now is a patriarchal society. We come from a matriarchal society. And a matriarchal society is more in line and in sync with what nature says. Now, what is nature? Because everybody want to tell us, well, the Bible say nature is, and it's like, okay, but that's the religious construct. Because that, religion is a man's construct that was created to subjugate the woman. So, and that is just the fact. All religions are patriarchal. But when you look at the Old Testament, that's not a religious book. And I won't go into that. But what has happened is the scriptures of the Old Testament have been changed. Absolutely. All of them have been changed. The names have been changed. The sexes, some of these males that we see in there, they were actually women to begin with. So we won't go into that, but what I will say is we need to look at nature and look at what the animals do in nature. So your question is, they want us to turn around and lead like Harriet Tubman. That reminds me of one of the universal laws. And the law is, where the woman go, the man shall follow. When I say law, understand that means it is and it must be. Don't be trying to change it. Don't be trying to manipulate it and do all this other stuff. It is what it is. So that means that law is saying, where the woman goes, the man must follow. What it just said is, you are the leader. That is a natural thing. And if you look in nature, you always see it's the woman who has the control and the power. It's the man who's putting on his dance or doing whatever, or the male doing whatever he is trying to do to get her attention so that he can do what he does, and that's fuck. Period, point blank. And the problem is we get into this ideology that the man can control himself and he can do this and he can do that. If you're not respecting his nature and you get stung by him, then it's your fault. So understand, when you're asking this question, we got to get back to nature. You are the leader. And you'll hear people saying, oh, the black woman is God, the black woman has it. Well, she does. She is. She is all that. She is the Alpha. She is the Omega. And the question, you had another question in here about, and forgive me, forgive my passion. It's all love. But anyway, you had a question in here about something about the woman. You said, if the woman has all of that much power, why can't we get a good man to be a good man? Why can't I change a no good man into a good man? What the hell is a good man? What is a man? Because we're not understanding the nature of these characters, and it's like they tell you who they are. They tell you what they like, but we as women, we think we can just force them into being something that they're not. Well, that is not, listen, when I say we're gods, we are gods. But this universe has an ultimate creator. And a god means someone who has powers. What does that mean when I say the black woman is God? Or what do they mean? Because nobody ever really has told us. But these are some things that are revealed to me on a spiritual level. And like I normally take a lot of pride in being able to say to people, look, I'm going to give you a resource. Go look it up for yourself. And, if you want to apply it, fine. The issue is that a lot of the things that are coming to me now are spiritual. They're straight spiritual. And there is no book that I can lead you to. But what I can tell you is that the spirits have shown me why the black woman is God. And you all will be like maybe the second, third people who I've told. But what we need to understand is the melanated woman created it all. She created the male. She created the Caucasian. She created, this and that. And so if she is God, she is responsible. There is no if. I don't want to be God. I ain't gonna, but you don't have any choice. You are what you are. They are what they are. You have to respect what you are and respect what they are. So what am I saying? A God has the ability, or would somebody be a God if they have the ability to change the past? Would somebody be a God if they have the ability to change the future? And those are not all of the powers that we possess as melanated women. And I'm not going to go into that on this session, but I need you to understand, and all of my sisters to understand, if you knew your power, you would understand why we are so subjugated, why religion was created in the first place, to tie our minds up in this spiritual garbage, to keep us from understanding who we really are. We are spiritual beings, and we don't have, as women, a clue. When I say we can change the past, do you understand how big that is? And so when I say that, I won't go into it because that's another lecture. I'm just trying to give you an understanding of how truly powerful you are. And as women, we tend to be running around here, talking about equality, and I want to be equal. You know how, okay, it's the same way with melanated people. They want us to feel like we are beneath the Caucasian, and we running around here talking about, we want equality and all of this. Well, scientific fact shows that we are clearly the more superior being all over the place. It shows that. But we running around here talking about, no, we're equal. No, we're not. We're not. Let's just stop. Look, and I'm going to say this. I love my Caucasian folks, but I am in love with my melanated people. Those are my people. I'm a racist, and I won't go into that on this one. But at the same time, we're not equal. We are clearly the more superior being in many, many ways. That's why, as melanated people, we are oppressed. And so now here you got women talking about, and wondering why men are not doing what we think they're supposed to do, because we're in a society that is unnatural. So with women, what you need to understand is and they use this term, divine feminine, divine masculine. The woman is divine. Okay? Feminine doesn't need that title on it. Divine feminine, divine masculine. There is no divine masculine. That's some stuff that they made up to confuse you. Divine means to divide. It means two. It means duo. It means yin and yang, the alpha and omega. She is the feminine and the masculine at all times. She is God. She created it all. Forgive my passion. I'm sorry. Woosah. So when I say that, what I'm saying to you is that you have to understand that you have to understand that as that God, that you are responsible for what goes on. And so you have to take that responsibility. The problem again is that we're in a society that has everything ass backwards. Okay, you're thinking that love means, oh, I want him to be mine. I'm gonna control him. I'm manipulate him. I'm gonna make him be what I want him to be. That is not love. That is the antithesis of love. That is the opposite of love. That is not a matriarchal society. That is not a matriarchal construct. Again, it's not natural. And so I'm gonna go back to this, because when we look at what is a good man, let me go into this, and then I'll come back to what is natural. Okay, when a woman, and again, I'm not about bashing men. Everything that I speak is from a scientific nature. And so we have to come to that understanding of what these vessels are, because we are spirits that are operating these things we call bodies, these vessels. And so we have to understand what these vessels are that we're walking in. And once you understand that, and you do your own research and studying on this, because there's research on, then you come to the understanding of why men do what they do, why they are, and why what we're doing is unnatural. All right, so let's look at this. When a woman is born, she's born with all of her embryos. All the embryos she's going to ever get. She is born with her nation. Now, all of those embryos, all of them are females. Okay? And so just like I said, all of her embryos are females. They possess divinity, meaning they can divide. They are the feminine and the masculine, just as the woman is you. And you carry with you all of your ancestors. Now, when in the second or third month of the woman's carrying the child in her pregnancy, that I'm gonna start this over again. In the second, third month of a woman, while a woman is carrying a child, when she the egg is fertilized, whether or not that that embryo goes to a male or stays a female is going to be determined by the condition of the mother. So if she's physically fit or not, that's going to determine whether that child stays a female, or whether that embryo stays a female. Now, if she's getting her butt kicked, she's getting beat up in her relationship, she's not eating right, she hates her job, she doesn't like herself, any of that will degrade that embryo into a male. It will deform that embryo into a male. That embryo becomes a genetically modified object. Now, let's understand what a genetically modified object does. All right, or let's deal with the characteristics, because you might be saying to me, genetically modified, that's harsh. That's, again, remember, he is not the vessel. His spirit is in that vessel, but that vessel no longer has divinity. How did it lose its divinity? And that's what we want to not necessarily how it lost its divinity, but let's deal with the fact that it did lose its divinity, and what that makes this vessel that this spirit is riding in at this time. So when the embryo deforms into a male, it becomes a genetically modified Being. What is a genetically modified being? A Caucasian. We know they're genetically modified. Cancer cells, genetically modified. Genetically modified foods are genetically modified. And let's look at what their characteristic trait is. Genetically modified objects tend to try to take over or dominate that which created it. That is one of the main characteristics of a genetically modified being. Genetically modified beings do not normally have the ability to create on their own. Meaning, if it is something that is deformed, it needs the host to help it recreate. Then what the genetically modified thing tends to do is to make the host feel like it can't live without the parasite. Now, I ask you, do men possess any of these traits where they try to take over the host of that or take over that which created it? Well, they dominate the shit out of women in this society. They lied to us, lied to us about the fact that we can produce on our own. Parthenogenesis, please look that up, because women have the ability and were creating beings before the male. So that's what religion is. They have subjugated women. They, at one point made it seem like, oh, it's okay to beat the woman. The male was giving away his daughter in a ritual that we call marriage, and today we try to make that seem like it's something that's glorified and spend a shitload of money on. I won't even go into that. Again, what the hell is nature? Because nothing we do is natural. So when we look at that and we understand that these males, and scientifically, if we look at this from a scientific standpoint, they are a genetically modified, degraded, deformed being. A male is nothing more than a deformed woman. Let's make that clear. Don't beat around the bush about it. Because this is why you have these issues and you're frustrated about why men are no good men. What is that? So now we understand their characteristics and their nature. Then you understand that a male, all males come out of chaos, because a woman who is healthy, she's going to give birth to a woman, period. A woman who is healthy is going to give birth to a woman, period. If she's giving birth to a man, she was in chaos. All males are born in chaos. Males are genetically modified organisms, which makes them unnatural. And they want to tell you, oh, you need a male for balance. She is balanced by herself. She is the yin and the yang. She possesses the feminine and the masculine. Oh, well, he possesses the feminine and the masculine. He has no divinity. Well, he's divine because in his spirit form, he's divine. In our spirit form, all of us are divine. We can divide. But once that spirit gets down to that vessel, it has lost its divinity. That means it is no longer natural. And so in understanding that, you have to understand that unnatural things are going to fight against nature. You are nature. You are natural. It is natural for them to be fighting against you. Now let's talk about this. It is not natural for you to be trying to shack up with them. Oh, what? Oh, I gotta have my dick. I gotta have my dick. Okay. I'm not telling you not to have it. Let's get into what is nature. Now, what animals, and I'm gonna pull my notes from my my other lecture, because we need to get into this understanding of what is nature. So that we can fully understand uh, why things are going haywire as they are. So now let's talk about this. What percentage of animals do we know where the male actually stays and participate in the rearing of the child? What percentage of animals? Because this is why now when we talk about nature, we can only talk about what we see out in nature. That would be the animals. How do they act? Because they're the only ones who are not inhibited by all these crazy ass rules and patriarchal societies that we're living in. So, forgive my passion, woosah. What animals do we know in society that are where the male participates in the rearing of the child? Less than 5%, and that is a very conservative number. Less than 5% of the males in the animal kingdom participate in the rearing of the child. That's 95% that don't. What percentage of animals have sex with their spouse and stay, or sex with a female or male or opposite spouse and stays with that partner for life? What percentage of the animal kingdom? That number is less than 2%. And what I'm saying is these animals do not get together and be talking about, I want to live with you for the rest of my life and have sex with you and only you. Now, less than 2% actually stay together like that. But that doesn't mean they're monogamous. They just mate and they stay together. And 2% is a conservative figure. That means 98% of the animal kingdom does not be trying to shack up with the opposite sex and be falling in love and stay happily ever after. That's not even natural. But of the 2%, which less than 2%, and it's not even that much, it's less than a fraction of a percent, but I'm giving a conservative figure. But of those less than 2%, you have those that just because they stay together doesn't mean they're monogamous. That means like penguins, for example, will mate. They're known to mate for life, but the male penguin might have a chick over in Alaska, and then he's gonna go off for 2 years and have a chick somewhere else on another continent for 2 years, and then but when he come back to Alaska, he going to the same other chick. They weren't monogamous. So we're talking about a situation where 98% of the animals in nature, they don't be shacking up like that. What animal goes to a third party to have them say that God said it's okay for you to have sex? So the question is, what percentage of animals in nature get a preacher or some third party animal, 2 ducks going to a horse and saying, hey, can you get God to say that it's okay for us to have sex? What percentage of animals do that? 0. They are not trying to have no wedding. So seems to me that everything that we're doing in our society is absolutely opposite of what nature says. So where in the world do we get off talking about what's natural and what's not natural when we're the most unnatural beings and we have the most unnatural acts on this planet? So what I'll ask is another question. What we tend to look at these relationships, well, why so hard? I want to make a man to be something he ain't. You want him to be something he's not. Let me ask you a question when we talk about nature. Do things that are natural come easy? I mean, if something is natural to you or to us? Is it a difficult thing or is it a hard thing? Do you have to put a lot of work into it, or is it just, I can relax? Things that are natural come very, very easy. They have no stress. So somebody tell me in nature, what animals and what percentage of animals go to a third party and be sitting on their nest or in a straw stack or haystack and be talking about, you know, when we were first together, he would put his wing around me in the morning and I'd just be tweedling on the fence. But now, nothing. I just tweedle and nothing. He doesn't show me love anymore. What animals do that? None. 0%. That's because relationships are not natural. Not in the way we've been taught. And we don't want to hear that. Oh, nah, I want to be with a man supposed to raise a child. That shit don't, excuse me. That doesn't happen in nature. The woman raises the child. So I want to look at the matriarchal society and what it is and how it functioned, because we don't know our history about matriarchy, because matriarchy was around long before patriarchy. And also here in North America, the Native Americans, which is us, were of a matriarchal society. Even the Moors, which are just converted Israelites, like the Israelites, were of a matriarchal society. And then the Native Americans were Israelites as well. So we had all these matriarchal societies. Let's understand, and they came long before, you know, this patriarchal society that's been forced on us. But let's understand what went on with the matriarchal society. So, okay, so with the matriarchal society, of course you had the woman who was at the head. She did not marry. That was not in her desire. She didn't want to marry. And she didn't worry about what somebody else had to say about if she wanted to have sex with this male. If they saw each other and she wanted him and he wanted her, she might let him come to her place. And if she wanted to have sex, she had sex. If she didn't want to have sex, she didn't have sex. Normally, if they had sex, he needed to get the hell on by the morning time. That was it. If she got pregnant, he was not, sometimes the child wouldn't even know who the parent was. It wasn't an issue because that child would always be taken care of. It wasn't that he helped take care of it. The mother helped take care of it. The sisters helped take care of it. The uncles and the aunties and the cousins, her immediate family, the village is the ones who took care of that child. And that child never went without. That's what Big Mama come from. That's where that whole Big Mama, that's what it was. The matriarchy. She made sure that, or her family made sure that whatever offspring she had, it was taken care of and it was happy. And in most cases, it was a female. Because that woman was healthy and she was in a situation where she had balance. Now, you ever notice, see, this is like we give clues. We just don't understand what is going on. You ever had a woman, because women are really good with this, because I need you to understand how we think and why we seem crazy, because we are crazy. We're in a society doing things that are they go against our nature. See, like when they say we're crazy, we're sensitive is what we are. And what that means is we're psychic and we're spiritual. Our spirits are acting up because like they are saying this is some bullshit. That's what that is. What is this we're in? And I'm going to help you understand this. You ever notice when, or that women are really quick to think that somebody can read their mind? Like she is quick to say, I shouldn't have to tell him. It's like, well, he can't read your mind. Why you don't just fucking say, excuse me, he can't read your mind. Just say what you're feeling to him. Well, I shouldn't have to tell him because he shouldn't know. And that doesn't even really, in this society, and it's like it doesn't make sense. But what's happening is, see, we remember where we came from. We just don't understand that we remember. We feel things. We don't understand what we're feeling. But when she was in, first of all, she wouldn't be shacking up with him. Her relationships were with her mother, with her sisters, with her brother maybe. And so when she's in a situation with her mother and her sister, she's with two women. And the two women can, and women were very psychic, especially your melanated women, very psychic. And so, yes, they can read your mind. She was in a situation where she didn't have to ask because Big Mama always knew what to get you before you even said anything. She knew how to make sure you were comfortable. Your sister know who you are. You don't have to say nothing. And now you shacked up with this dude and you're going, well, I shouldn't have to tell you. Well, this ain't your damn sister and this ain't your mama and he is not psychic because he is not divine. Woosah. You're expecting something of him that he is not because you do not understand the vessel and we do not understand nature. So let me explain how I'm going to actually go back to your questions so we can so I can make sure I answer every question that you had on here. So when you ask what is a good man, please understand that that is some kind of, I don't even know if it's called an oxymoron. Just because you said, why are there no good men? My thing is, you know, we need to take off that good part. And then we need to understand why your expectations are such. Because one of the things that I've learned for me is that when a person can only piss me off, well, in most cases. Yeah, it's all, in any cases, in the vast majority of the cases, a person pisses me off because I have expectations. Like, I expect you to be this way. You know, I'm expecting something from you. I made some kind of invisible contract in my brain where I'm expecting something of you. Now, the problem is that we don't understand what love is. And I need to explain love. And this is one of my stories. You're going to hear this again. It'll be in the session that I need to send to you because I'm not going over everything from that session. But I like to talk about what love is. Love, we have been told, is, you mine. I'm yours. He going to fight for me. I'm going to fight for you. And we're going to have a contract. We're going to have a marriage contract. That is the opposite of love. I had a friend of mine that I went to once when I was trying to get my natural hair together because I didn't know what to do with this stuff. And I asked her, I said, sister, please tell me, what do you do to get your hair to be so beautiful every day? I can't do nothing with mine. She said to me, I have a love affair with my hair. And I said, you have a what? With your what? She said, I have a love affair with my hair. And what that means is that when I wake up, whatever my hair wants to do that day, I let it do it and I love it for it. And that was the first time that someone helped me to fully understand what the word love means. Because I always knew, I was really aggravated with the term love and hearing people say it all the time. I was like, love is the way. Love, love, love. I was like, well, y'all, what does that mean? Love is the, what is love anyway? But her definition helped me to understand that love is not trying to control. Love is not trying to manipulate. Love is not trying to confine. Love is letting things be what they are and either dealing with it in your life or loving yourself enough to let it go. That's what love is. And when we look at a matriarchal society, when we look at nature, and then we look at how we are, you can understand why the woman is unbalanced and feeling crazy. And so what you're seeing is this in this society is the woman trying to get back, or really not the woman, just nature trying to return to order. You are not supposed to be shacking up with him. That is not the natural order. And I know it's going to sound crazy, but the matriarchal society, she wasn't shacking up with him. She get what she want, and if she got pregnant, he wasn't supposed to be there anyway. He's supposed to go back and take care of his nieces and nephews. All this trying to hold on to something and make it yours and you mine, and that is not the order. And you don't see animals in nature. For example, they try to feed us this garbage about, how love is and what it's supposed to be and what a family is supposed to be, and this Goldilocks and the three bears shit where the mama bear, papa bear, baby bear. That's garbage. Because just even if you take bears, a female bear, when she has sex with a male, okay, thank you, you can go, bye. She would never let him lay up in the crib with the baby. She liable to wake up out of a damn hibernation and he done had the baby for a snack. That doesn't happen because she understands and respects the nature of that being. So again, when we look at the nature of these beings that we're trying to contract with, we need to understand what they are and stop trying to force contracts on them that they cannot honor, that go against their nature. We keep trying to force them into something. We were happier when we had true love. And I shouldn't even have to put the term true in front of it. Just love. Because there's this fake love that we think, this Google, and I feel it in the pit of my stomach. That's some bull. Love is where you don't have, if he want to leave, you okay. Love is not having fear. If he said, I'm ready to go, okay, I love you. If you want to come back. And if he comes back and you want to sex him, you have total right to sex him. Or you could tell him, oh, no, I'm not. I'm good, baby. All right, thank you. Yeah, not today. All right, bye. You got the right to say that. And you got the right to sex him if you want to. If you have another child, don't nobody care. Big Mama and the rest of the family is going to be there to make sure that child never goes without. That's a matriarchal society. And you ain't sitting there stressing about, Mama, he don't love me. You don't give a shit. You love yourself. You love yourself. And the deal is that we don't understand how to love ourselves, which is why we're letting these beings get away with bringing all this chaos into our life. Because we've been lied to. And let me get back to that, because here we are. Again, I said that embryo degrades and deforms into a male being. Well, Diva, we are not there. They're more superior. Well, let me break this down to you. And again, this is scientific. This is not trying to bash them. This is not trying to say whatever the ego wants to say. This is scientific. Women have longevity of life. You see this? We all see this. Women live longer. That's because we are the more superior species. And you can look that up. There's statistics on it. We have our mental and brain capacity. are greater. That's why you always hear them, women are crazy and men are stupid. You hear comedians say that all the time. But women are more intelligent because our brain capacity is almost a quarter more, or a quarter heavier, quarter size larger than that of the male brain. It is a stronger brain, a smarter brain, and that's just a fact. Bone density. Whenever you hear them talking about, oh yeah, well, we found some bones, we dug up in such a place, and it was the bones of a woman, and she's going to be a melanated woman, because the melanated woman has the strongest bone density on the planet, period, bar none. Physical strength. Women, pound for pound, especially when you go into higher places, higher altitudes rather, the woman's cells get more oxygen than that of males. And when we're talking about, lastly, when we're talking about spirituality, we know that women are more spiritual. Why? Because remember I said she is carrying all of her embryos with her. All of her nation comes with her. Those embryos have spirits in them that I won't get into on this session. But those spirits, they link her. She's more spiritual, we know that. And that gives her power that he don't want you to know you have. I mean, when I say he, I'm talking about those who created religion and subjected women, because the other he's we talking about, your ex or whoever that is, he just doesn't know who you are. But let's get on this, because I want to get on this, and then I want to talk about, what is the solution. You asked the question. Let's get back to it. Let's see. Them seem to only lead when it's beneficial to them. They're not leaders, and so they shouldn't be leading. That's the law of nature. You're supposed to lead. That is your job. That is who you are. You can't diminish, or you try. So I'm going to say this again. We women, just like we melanated people, want to walk around talking about, well, we want to be equal, we want to have fair. Some of the women just, I want the man to lead. You're trying to give him a job that he's not qualified to do. Period. If he was qualified, then this society wouldn't be what it is today. It wouldn't be going downhill like a crazy ass, what they say, hell in a handbasket, or whatever that means. I don't know. But it wouldn't be doing that if he was supposed to be leading, because he's in control right now, so he thinks, of what's going on in this society, and it doesn't look good. So what you're seeing is women are, I want to be equal, or I don't want to be equal, I want him to be in charge. We're not stepping up to our responsibilities in nature. And we are out of sync and out of balance in so many ways. And until we do that, we can't turn this mess around. So you're expecting him to do something that is just not of him. You made some kind of contract in your mind that he cannot honor. And then one of your question was, they tell us we want to be in the man in the relationship, and we're too independent. You are the alpha and the omega. You are the feminine and the energy. You are the divine. And really, when you interact with him, all you're doing is turning off your masculine. So his little masculine can shine. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Take that out. Cut that little part out, because I'm not trying to diss anybody. You're cutting your part of yourself. All you're doing is you're just turning yours off so that his can shine. And we're told he brings balance, but really, I'm going to say this again. all men come out of chaos. Now, if they understand how to operate from their spirit, again, we are all spirits in this dimension. The vessel has a great pull, and that's another session that I'll talk about. But yeah, the vessel has a great pull. But if he knows how to operate from his spirit, then he's going to be less likely to fight against nature and fight against you. But all men come from chaos. And so if they start fighting, it's like them to go into their ego. And I'm supposed to be in the lead. I'm supposed to be in charge. I'm supposed to lead. Well, that's what a genetically modified organism will do. It's going to fight against nature. And, you know, just in case you're wondering, as I said, look up Parthenogenesis. But in the beginning, women produce without the male. But what are we supposed to be when they put everything on our back? Again, you are the God. You hold the full responsibility. What makes you the God is because you have the ability to change the past. That's just, I'm laughing because when the spirits revealed that to me and how to do it, now I understand why they subjugate us so much. When we understand who we are, and this don't take much time, they can be wiped right the hell out of existence. But they come back in a different form. But when we understand what to do, everything unnatural, that is the melanated, the Caucasian, that includes the man, that includes genetically modified foods, all that will be wiped out when she gets herself in order. Because she is the God. You are the God. You know, I'm talking sister to sister to you. Why do so many of them feel it's the woman's fault? It is your fault. As a God, we have to understand that there are no victims. We create our own environment. We create everything that happens to us. Now, I won't go into energies here. I'm going to do that on another session. If you want to hit me up, I'll be glad to send you that lecture. But there are no victims. You are responsible for everything because you created everything. You created the male. You created the Caucasian and all this other garbage. You are the beginning. And because you are the beginning, you are the God, and you are responsible for it all. So, instead of playing the victim, understand what's going on and then take control. Why do so many really believe because a woman was forced to raise her child alone, she is the reason why our youth becomes destructive? Again, it is your fault. But it sounds like you're upset because of what they're thinking. And that's one of the things we have to overcome as women as well. Because society has allowed us to be, or made it where, oh, she's a slut if she does this, she sleep with him, and she do that, and she do sleep. See, in a matriarchal society, it wasn't even about all that BS. Folks did what they wanted to do. And it wasn't, no, if you wanted to sleep with him, sleep with him. He's a fuck boy, and you just wanted to get with him, get with him. But you needed to understand that it is your responsibility, or you are responsible for everything that happens in that relationship. Or in that, not relationship, excuse me, in that contract that you made with that person. So I want to tell this story, and then I'm going to finish it up, and I'm going to give maybe a couple of things that maybe, or that we need to move towards in our society. It was about a frog and a scorpion. I'm going to tell this real quick. I normally like to put some color on it, but the frog and the scorpion were on the side of a pond, and the scorpion asked the frog, it said, listen, I need to ride across the pond. And the frog was like, hell no, get out of my face. As soon as I let you on my back, you're going to sting me. And the frog and the scorpion was like, no, I'm not going to sting you. I just need to ride across the back. I swear. So this is Scorpion with a lot of, how you say, he's got a lot of pizzazz, and he's suave and all that. And he found a way to talk his way into getting a ride across this pond on the back of the frog. So finally the frog gives in. He said, okay, man, I'm going to let you get on my back. But if you sting me, that's going to be your ass. The Scorpion said, I wouldn't sting you. Dude, I just need to ride across the pond. Bada bing, bada bang. All right, so Scorpion gets on the frog back. Frog gets to paddling across the water. Halfway across, the frog feels this piercing pain in his back, and he looks back and he yells out in pain, and he sees the Scorpion on there with his stinger in his back. He's like, ah, you stung me. Now we're both gonna die. And the Scorpion says, oh, I'm sorry, man. It's just in my nature. It's just in my nature. And they both died. Now, in this instance, as far as I'm concerned, the frog had all the power. What can a scorpion do? He can't swim, he can't hop, he can't jump, he can't go from lily pad to lily pad, he don't know how to doggy pedal, none of that shit. The frog had all of the power and allowed this being whose nature he knew. You knew the nature of his ass, of the scorpion. You know what it does. But you chose to let that scorpion on your back, and you got stung and both of you died. That's the frog's fault. And it's no different in this case, because you are the one with all of the power. All he wants is some ass. He just want to do what's in his nature to do. And again, I'm not dissing him. That's the nature of that vessel. And so here you got the frog with all the power gives up all the power instead and allows the scorpion to kill him. Now the moral of this story is, understand the nature of the being that you're contracting with. So in saying that, now if this were me, and I love to negotiate contracts. Now, if I'm dealing with the scorpion and I want to help the scorpion across the damn pond, I'm going to make my own contract. And for me, in that case, I would have said, okay, scorpion, I'm going to give you a ride across this pond. But we're going to tie your stinger down. We're going to tie your claws together. We're going to tie your feet together. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put some tape on your mouth, because I don't want you saying shit to me until we get to the other side of the pond. And once we get to the other side of the pond, you can talk shit while I'm walking away. And that is my contract. Now, you can contract however you want to. But if you are dealing with the scorpion or with this person, whoever you were dealing with, then you got to understand, what is it that you're trying to get from him? Are you just, a little horny, you want to have some? Okay. Then the contract should be, we're going to fuck, and then you got to get out. That's my contract. But you are trying to hold him to something that is not in his nature. It's not in his nature to stay and take care of no damn child. That's not what those vessels do. Now, if it was a woman, maybe, you can maybe have another expectation, but it's not. It's a degraded woman that ain't used to doing that. That's not in his nature. So you're trying to put a contract on him to help you, or help you be responsible. They not, what animal, the males in nature, they fuck and then they go on their way. Oh, but we ain't in nature. I thought you said you wanted natural. That's what everybody keeps saying they want. And if you're not going to respect nature, then you're going to keep making contracts with people and beings that cannot honor them. So that's one of the problems with these things that we are calling relationships and being in this patriarchal society, it goes against everything that is in nature. You're going against his nature and you're going against your nature. And with the matriarchal society, it was far more in line with nature. And women knew what love was. They had self-love and they had love for the being that they contracted with. Love in the sense that you're free to go. I'm not going to try to hold you to something that is not in your nature. I don't have any control over you. I'm not trying to control you. I'm not trying to confine you or define you. I'm going to be me. I'm going to enjoy my life. You want to fuck? Okay, well then let's fuck. Now you got to go in the morning. Okay. All right, good. Yeah. All right, in the morning. All right, bye-bye. Hey, it was good seeing you. Bye-bye. Now, if you don't want to sex him no more after that, you free to go. Let him go. If he don't want to sex you, don't be chasing him. Okay. All right, so I've been totally against some of the things that your children, you're speaking about your children have done. I tried to lead by example to make sure they follow down the path, but sometimes it still doesn't work. Can you lead somebody if you don't know who you are and if you don't know where you're supposed to be going in the first place? That's one of the problems. We don't understand who we are because we are living in a lie, this patriarchal society. It's hard to lead anything because we don't understand that we're spirits. We don't understand that we're spirits inside of a vessel. We don't understand what to do with these vessels. We don't understand that we're prisoners in these vessels. That's another story too. That's another session. But so why do the conscious black men bash and blame black women so much? Let's remember that these so-called conscious people, notice they all males. How many females you see sitting up there talking with them? First of all, they're not conscious as they claim to be. But how many women do you see sitting up on their panel with them? It's very, very rare. They are males, and they are doing what comes natural to them as genetically modified beings. They operating from their vessel and not from their spirit. Again, that's another session that I won't go into here. But when you understand that, then you can understand why they say the things they're saying. They're fighting against nature. You're nature. They're fighting against women. That's what they do. That's why religion was created. That's why women are subjugated. They're doing what a genetically modified organism will do. So I don't, again, I'll send you my other session because that kind of goes into some other things that I didn't talk about on here. But the bottom line is that, because the other thing I wanted to get at is it sounds like you're concerned about what these folks are thinking. When does a lion give a shit about what a sheep has to say? See, the problem is you don't know you're a lion. You don't know you can wipe and forgive me because I need to speak like I fucking speak. You can wipe them motherfuckers clean off the face of this fucking planet. That's how powerful you are. You don't know you're a lion because they done told you you was a damn worm or some shit. Crawling around, you a mole. You think they the lion. They don't have shit on your powers. Nothing. And so when you understand who you are and your powers, this shit is amazing. Because here they are, they have told us, oh, we're less than, and and then we talk about we want to be equal when we're clearly the superior being. You are not equal. They are beneath you. And you sitting up here letting somebody beneath you give you all this hell in your life. When you get self-love, and ain't shit them damn sheep can say to you as a lion about what you gonna do with your life. You gonna know you can fuck whatever you want to fuck when you fuck it, and ain't shit they can do because you can wipe them off. Excuse me. Who's I'm sorry. Forgive me. But what we need to understand and come back to is nature. And we need to come back to love. And most importantly, we need to come back to self-love. Because when we are at self-love, we will not let nobody be throwing us off track with their bullshit messages. And that's the bottom line. Come back to nature and love and self-love. I'm yours truly, Diva Laree. I'm out. I hope I gave you some good information. Thank you. Peace.